Hey everyone, it's me, Marshall, aka Marshball's Life, back at it again with another video. This time I'm going to be looking at an LCK game between Afreeca Freecs and Griffin. The LCK is, I would say, much more my forte. It's the league that I follow the most and I watch the most, and it's a hype matchup, so I definitely wanted to take a look at this. Griffin right now is coming off of Rift Rivals, where they were actually the only team to lose from the LCK in the final. They got cheesed by Pantheon mid by Doneby, so they definitely want to show that they still have good form. Afreeca has had time off, since they obviously didn't go to Rift Rivals, and so they, in theory, should be more prepared for this match. Top lane Tom Kench is banned. Top lane Tom Kench really isn't a thing in professional. Only Kuve's really pulled it out here in LCK with melding success. Griffin with the Nico ban. Nico is kind of replaced Ryze as the best top lane, mid lane flex pick, AP flex pick, so Griffin doesn't want to have to deal with that. They want to have a true counter pick for one of their solo laners. Afreeca Freecs first pick Jayce. Jayce is although Jayce has gotten nerfed repeatedly, Jayce is still very high priority, and really the changes to Jayce really only make worse Jayce players worse, and the best Jayce players doesn't really affect them. Griffin snaps back with Aatrox. It's kind of a meme now that Sword is a two-trick Aatrox Jayce player, so Sword kind of completes the meme and picks Aatrox. Chovy with the interesting Talon pick. Chovy did pull out Talon in the group stages of Rift Rivals, and he was able to win the game. He looked pretty good. That was a pretty fun game in itself, with Bard and Silas going to outer space. I don't know why they didn't pause for that bug. Interestingly enough, both teams picked their solo laners. Normally on red side, you like to see them use counter pick, but I guess Freecs also just decided to blind pick their solo laners, so they were able to counter pick. They'll give Lehen's last pick support. It's always very interesting to see when someone goes last pick jungle or last pick support, purely because most of the time you see bot lane get blind picked or early priority picked, so. It's just kind of interesting, like, when you last picked Nautilus, like, you could have easily picked Nautilus earlier in the draft, and still had, like, flexibility to switch up your laners and such. Looking at each composition, Afreeca Freecs is a poke and pick comp, with Ezreal, Jason, Talia, and with Galio and Lee Sin, they want to try to catch people out, and try to use push priority to their advantage. On the flip side, Griffin is more of a team fight comp. They want to really they have late game Kai'Sa insurance, but they mostly want to try to 1-3-1 and look for team fights and picks. Both team comps are very similar, so it'll be a lot based off of who gets early advantages and is able to snowball off those advantages. Taking a look at runes, Kiin is gone with Phase Rush on Jayce. Phase Rush is, I think, a very underrated rune on Jayce, especially against Aatrox, who was going to want to get on top of you. It's really a get out of jail free card if you get ganked or you take a bad trade. Let's pause at the runes right here. It's always interesting to see that LCK does this. They get to show you the runes, which I kind of wish other regions did. So taking a look, he went Mana Flow, Absolute Focus, and Scorch. Absolute Focus gives you the most adaptive force early game, so it's definitely an early game rune. And then he chose secondary, he went Inspiration, he took a Stopwatch, and Biscuits. I think it's interesting that he decided to go a Stopwatch instead of Time Warp Tonic. Time Warp Tonic and Biscuits is a really good sustain, with a Corrupting Pot, is a really good sustain option that lets you have a high sustain advantage over your laner, kind of forcing them in the sense to either say, hey, I'm going to have a sustain advantage against you, or you have to take this rune and buy this item first. Taking a look at Sword, he's gone with Electrocute. Electrocute is more of an all-in type of rune. He could have easily gone Comet, which is more of a poke rune to kind of poke out Jayce or stay even in trades, since Jayce has a ranged advantage. But Electrocute is more of an all-in, hit you with 3 Qs and get a ton of burst damage down. He went the Respect, Revitalize, and Second Wind, knowing that he's going to get really poked out and going to be at the mercy of Jayce early game. I really do like Airy I really do like Phase Rush as opposed to Airy. Aatrox does have a lot of range with his Q, so Airy isn't as good here. So Aatrox is forced to leash and loses priority, which he's already kind of going to lose anyways since it's Jayce. Kiin right here doing a good job of zoning Aatrox off creeps, and he misses, but he actually doesn't miss any XP. Kiin is doing a good job auto-harassing. I'm going to slow this down. No, not that slow. Kiin is doing a good job of auto-harassing without using any mana, and gets the early push-in to have the wave come push back towards him. This is really big in top lane and winning matchups. You really want to have the wave coming back towards you when the junglers are hitting level 3 at the 3-minute mark. Although it's a Karthus that you assume will power farm, it's really big just to be safe. Interestingly, Dread looks for the red buff. It was pretty obvious that Aatrox leashed, but that might be a next level about maybe it was a fake leash. So interesting little play right there. As you can see, Kiin is up about 10 CS, doing a good job. He pushed in another wave to turret, and Aatrox is having difficulty last hitting under turret. Forced to use his pot right there too. Thorn Shield is absolutely the correct starting item, but it still hurts like hell. Kiin goes to Ward. And now, since Karthus showed bot and ganked, Kiin can now push aggressively. Interestingly, he pings out that he knows that there's a ward in the Tri-Brush, and Kiin gets a really good trade-off. Pops his last Corrupting Pot, and Sword is forced to back. He's supposed to go very econ with a Doran's Blade and Refillable, and still misses a ton of minions hitting the turret. It'll be interesting to see if Kiin elects to TP back to lane or not, since he should know that Karthus will be topside. Underrated play by Kiin right there. He sells his Biscuit for a control ward. He does elect to TP back to lane because he wants to get a tempo advantage and push his lead as much as possible. He gets 2 long swords and boots. Really good to get early movement speed against Aatrox so you can dodge out his Qs and W. As you can see, it looks like Sword has evened the CS gap, but it's a big wave crashing towards Kiin, and he will pick up a bunch of that CS, so he'll probably be up 12 to 15 CS. Wave's pushing towards Sword, who just wants to play safe and pick up the XP and get as much farm as he can. A top lane's worst nightmare is when it's a big wave crashing towards your tower and then you somehow die, you get tower dove, you get ganked, and you miss all of that XP and CS. As long as he doesn't die and he picks up like 60% of the wave, then he'll be okay. And Sword is used to this kind of play. He's a weak side top laner who doesn't get that many resources. It is kind of underrated how Tarzan does early on a lot of champions early gank for Sword to get him ahead. So don't sleep on that aspect. But right now he's going the full impact role. Kiin's able to get a plate, and Sword is not sure where Lee Sin is, so he's really afraid of getting tower dove or just getting out traded and bursted down without his jungle help. Kiin backs off, gets a vision in the tri-brush, and gets a plant to replenish his health and mana. Sword goes for a back, and he gets Tab Eyes. Tab Eyes is the most efficient armor item in the game. Underrated play by a big mistake in solo queues. You see people not go tier 2 boots first. Tier 2 boots are just so efficient, and they really negate a lot of kill pressure from AP or AD damage focused carries. Kiin backs himself, and he gets the components of I assume it'll be a Ghostblade. Dustblade Rush on Jayce top is not a thing, really. You get more movement speed and utility with Ghostblade, and you sacrifice, obviously, the ward clearing, but that's not really your job. Mid lane it's more important to have ward clearing mid lane. Swords, I guess he tried to freeze there. Not really working. Lehens is going for a roam topside, and Jayce gets pinged off. He knows that it's about 10 minutes where Rift Herald's about to spawn. The meta right now is at 10 minutes, the duo lanes leave lane and come top to fight for Rift Herald. Rift Herald is such a big advantage when you can get it before the plates are down. Sword is trying to force a freeze right here, tanking the wave up. And Kiin has to play safe because he knows that there's a lot of people topside. The support's missing from bot lane, and jungle could easily be top, which he is right now. Both players elect to take a back. Kiin gets his Ghostblade, and another pink ward. While Sword gets the Caulfield's Warhammer for some CDR. On Aatrox, he really wants CDR to be able to spam Q and E. The pro strat is to go Caulfield's Warhammer into Black Cleaver, just for the quick 30% CDR. Let's see where Kiin elects to go for a defensive pink ward instead of going for a pink ward in the try. He just normal wards in the try. And he chooses to go for that Blastcomb brush as a... which is much easier for him to contest and also gives him a lot of safety. I like that from Kiin. Karthus takes the dragon while Dread drops Herald top. Sword knows that he's getting a tower dove or he's going to lose his top tower, so he just goes to farm out jungle camps and tries not to die. Oof. Unlucky. Second charge of the Rift Herald goes off, but Kiin has a ton of gold right now. Interestingly, he elects to go for a... doesn't get tier 2 boots and decides to go for components to a Black Cleaver. So Kiin really wants to get the most damage as possible and use his lead as right now. Honestly, Sword is pretty behind, but he's played the lane pretty well. He's absorbed a lot of pressure, and he hasn't died, which is big. If Sword didn't lose all those plates because of the Rift Herald, I would say that he's actually doing pretty even. But Kiin just got all of those plate golds. The solo XP for the first tower too, and he is in position to carry the game. You see a little bit of a lane swap here. Kiin is going bot, trying to siege that bot lane turret, tier 1. Sword gets a Kindle Gem to get some more CDR and health, but he still doesn't have his first item completed, which feels bad, man. I really like the lane swap by Kiin. Going bot, where their own tier 1 is down, gives him a lot more safety from ganks, and forces Sword to overextend if he wants to go aggressive and hard push in roam. Both players are looking to group up right now. Not really sure. I guess Kiin doesn't feel safe by himself. Oof. And Dread goes for a very optimistic play, and first blood's given to Tarzan, but Afreeca Freecs does a good job with Kiin punishing the play by getting first tower or outer tier mid. Sora is also able to push in a wave bot lane that Kiin mostly missed, so he gets to make up a little bit of that CS. Kiin is able to complete his Black Cleaver, so he has 2 items to Sword's, I would say, 1.5 items. Really not having his completed first item feels really bad at this point in the game. You can see he already sold his Doran's shield, and I'm sure if he could have completed that item, he would have also sold his Doran's blade. Kiin getting all the farm, as much farm as possible, picking up mid farm, grouping up while he misses shot blasts, but is in position to help his team out for objectives. Sword knows that he's very far behind, so he doesn't even group up and tries to get as much farm as he can, and hopefully he has his Black Cleaver done by now. He doesn't. Oof, feels bad. Has to get a pink ward instead. Kiin pings missing in top lane. He's not really sure if he can step up safely to that top wave. He could not listen. Another player could be sitting in that brush to cheese him, so he elects to take jungle camps instead as the wave slow pushes towards topside. Kiin now feels pretty safe. He spams me a ping because he doesn't know where the top laner is, and he picks up the wave as it crashes towards him and resets the wave. Kiin is really, really sniffing out where the enemy team is at this point, playing extra safe because he knows that if he dies, he negates a lot of all the good work that he's done in lane right now. Gets the Tab Eyes. Tab Eyes just very good against Talon, Aatrox, and Kai'Sa, even though Kai'Sa will do some mixed damage. And he goes bot to match Sword. Sword finally gets his Black Cleaver, so he has some survivability and CDR now, so he can actually kind of fight back and wave clear much better against the Jayce. It'll be interesting to see what Jayce goes next item. He could go for the double lethality, he could go for Last Whisper to negate some healing from Aatrox, he could go Snowball GA with his stopwatch, or he could go Edge of Night to try to negate Karth Assault. Where did you use your pink ward? Dread almost gets caught out there, and Ezreal eased. Oh my. Okay. I think he blast coned, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. Sword gets a stopwatch as well. That's another 600 gold that's not going to any item completion currently. Big team fight here. There's a lot to break down. Oh. Oh, a bunch of low health bars from Afreeca that made that fight almost amazing for both teams. There was a lot of small micro advantages. Okay, let's take a look at this fight. So, Lehens engages, Nautilus engages, but is forced to use stopwatch. Almost for free. Ults to Ezreal. Kiin drops a lot of poke. Sword is looking to flank the backline right here. Gets in for Kai'Sa ult. While Kiin is kind of 1v2, 1v3ing the backline. Kiin absorbs a lot of pressure, although he misses some skill shots. Like that one. That EQ could have killed the support. And here Tarzan sacrifices himself to try to get others out. And Kiin is able to pick up that kill. Gets a BF sword, so it looks like he's going for the Snowball GA. I'm a big fan of the Snowball GA. When you're ahead, it's one of the strongest items in the game. It's like when you're ahead against a Malzahar and or a Skarner, and you're just able to get QSS and kind of negate a champion. Here, he's able to play extremely aggressive with GA and still not have to worry about getting an extra life. Kiin is bot side with TP up. He's looking to split down and get that outer turret bot. That outer turret bot has lasted a very long time, so Sword actually has done a good job defending it. But unfortunately, he still has at basically the same spot he was 3-4 minutes ago. I assume he'll go second item, Death Dance. Death Dance is a very expensive item, so I can understand why he would be wanting to save up for that item. Let's go back to the speed up. Kind of my overall observation is that Talon really hasn't done anything. He hasn't been able to roam top and punish Kiin. He hasn't been able to roam bot either. He hasn't really done anything, and he's behind in CS, so I would say overall the Talon pick has been pretty poor this game. Just purely off the fact that he has no kills at 25 minutes. Kiin with the GA. Groups up top with his team to fight with Baron. Sword is desperately trying to get any CS and XP and is pushing bot as hard as he can. Kiin is looking to pick up some jungle camps and get some bot side. Eats part of the wave. Sword has the. It looks like Sword is going for Death Stance with the what's it called? Lifesteal, 900 gold. Oof, that was close. Kiin runs. I think what Kiin has underratedly done well this game is he hasn't burned his TP. He's really tried to save his TP for absolutely necessary times, and elected to walk and just has really good map awareness where he has great understanding of objectives, when this objective is going to happen, when we can fight, when I can try to poke out champions, and where a worse player would have had to burn TP because they were just greeting, trying to get wave bot side or something like that. Kiin gets a luxury Hex Drinker, really good against Karthus and against Kai'Sa. Dread is for some reason randomly bought as Kiin looks to push top. Kiin realizes that that dragon is gone. I need to start split pushing and apply pressure and trade objectives. Sword finally with this Death Dance completion, but has fallen 45 CS behind. Kiin gets the red buff. Looks to pick up some of the bot farm and picks up the Krugs. So Kiin is given a lot of resources here, looking to get that bot lane outer turret. Afreeca groups up with Kiin. Yukao looking to counter. Kiin finally gets the bot turret. Solo gold as well. Kiin able to get another turret bot lane and a deep teleport from Sword. This is gets kicked away, and there's a lot of small isolated fights here. Kiin looking to 1v3. Karthus, I guess they would have killed Talia, but she stopwatched. Gets the bot inhib, and close hook by Lehens. But if they just if Afreeca just resets and just runs it down mid, they will be in a very good spot in this game. You can see that Lehens went for the engage, but only got the Galio and dies instantly. Sword is doing a good job distracting the backline, but doesn't really do anything. And then Kiin looks for the YOLO blind shot blast over the wall. He misses, but he still gets Karthus. Oof. Good snipe by aiming. Kiin completes his maul and gets a lacerated Dirk. Kiin is obscenely fed right now. Almost at that full bounty. They get top inhib, take the safe route to go mid, and look to secure vision and take the final Baron in the game. Very interesting build by Sword here. He has a BF sword and a Kindle gem. I assume the Kindle gem is for CDR, so he can get the 30% CDR. 40% CDR cap. But the BF sword would say he was going to go for Spear of Shojin. I have not seen a Spear of Shojin on Aatrox. I assume that's also just to get the CDR cap and then get a GA with his stopwatch. Kiin is so tanky at this point. He's allowed to position that way, and Talon can't even touch him with all the armor that he has. Really lackluster Talon pick. I know Chovy's a great player, but I feel like it just wasn't executed very well. He wasn't able to find plays. He was really shut down well by Vision, and Griffin wasn't able to even execute on some dives. So overall, I would say that Kiin played the matchup as correct as possible. He was able to punish Sword for just not being a melee champion. I would say Sword didn't play that bad. I didn't see that many mistakes from him. He just kind of did his job as a weak side top laner, and I would say the game was more based off of Sword absorbing pressure for basically no gain. So I can't even blame Sword for playing it bad. And Kiin was able in team fights to man mode it up and have strong positioning where he would take on at least one or two members of the enemy team. His poke damage was pretty high. I don't think he poked that well this game, but I would say that overall, Kiin definitely deserves the MVP for this game. But I wouldn't be too down on Sword. He played the matchup about as well as he could. This is game 1 of Afreeca Freecs and Griffin. I think I'll review the whole series. I'm still debating on if I want to, but thank you for watching my video, and appreciate you all. Peace.